Have you ever felt a difficult emotion, anger, stress, whatever, and seemed to black out and then wake up covered in brownie dust, staring at a pan that was previously full of chocolate goodiness? Me too. Hey everybody, Christy here with another episode of the My Diet Rebellion show, where today we're going to tackle the topic of emotional eating, and I've got a couple of really awesome actionable tips coming for you. Some stuff that I don't think you've ever tried before. So let's get at it. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the My Diet Rebellion show. Super excited for my guest today. She is my mastermind sister, right? I've gotten to know Lauren over the past few months. We've been in a mastermind together. I highly admire what she does. I kind of look up to her, so I was really excited when she came. When she wanted to come on my show and talk, because tonight I want to talk about a little bit about emotional eating, and it's like a gigantic topic. Wouldn't you agree, Lauren? It's like, well, let me start by introducing her officially instead of her just like my mastermind sister. You have your MA. Is it a Master in Arts?
Yeah, Master of Arts in Psychology.
Okay, in psychology. That's what I love. I love psychologists on my show. This is so cool. Master's degree, and she's a registered dietitian and nutritionist, basically a nutrition therapist. She's certified in intuitive eating, which is something I'm going for as well. So I'm excited to have that connection here. And she's got a background in eating disorder treatment, and she infuses her education with psychology to nutrition science and kind of puts them together in her work for her clients, which I think is really, really awesome. I never realized when I entered this field how much psychology was really involved in this. So it's kind of, especially in the HAES and the intuitive eating world, it's like if you don't have, I don't know, psychology, it's big. She loves helping sarcastic, intelligent women, correct? Which is why she likes talking to me, discover why they're overeating and why the emotional eating is happening so they can basically do what we're all trying to do, which is make peace with food, right? And even more importantly, themselves. And I know that you sort of, and you can explain it. You have another side company, right? Or side business where you called You Are Her. And it's more along the lines of, like, would you say life coaching and mindset coaching, which I think I think that's really awesome, because as I move forward to launching my membership site in a few months, I'm really digging into mindset work, because I know that the mindset is such a huge deal with all of these eating issues. We all think it's just what we eat and the calories in, calories out, and whatever. And it's just not. It's like, it's so much mindset, and it's like a whole other thing. So she tries to help people change their mindset and just live the kind of life that they really, truly want. And I love that, because I'm in a phase of my life where I just want to live a life that I want. I feel like I didn't think that was a thing, like when I was in my 20s, and you like kind of hear that and you're like, what does that even mean? But the more I grow and the more I get older, I just realize, like, there's so much to be said for our mindset and the lives we want to live and the work that we need to be doing. And I don't know, it's exciting. I'm not going to ramble, but do you want to say hello?
Hi.
Hi, Lauren Cash. Did I even say your name?
Yeah, I think you did. Thanks
Okay.
for having me. This is so fun.
Yeah, it is. And I really do look up to you.
Aww.
I know, I think what you're doing is awesome. And I thought you might be a good person to come on here and just start talking a little bit about emotional eating. Now we can talk, it's such a huge topic.
It really
is. As
is.
I go further into the show, I'm going to keep delving into different aspects of it. But I wanted to just do kind of a general good overview session with somebody to just get some tips. Like, I gave some tips on my blog, but I want to get some tips from someone like you who's done even more work with psychology and more, I don't know, you just have a little bit more experience than I do, I think. So I wanted to get your thoughts on emotional eating. And like with all of my episodes, I want these to be actionable. So I asked Lauren to come here and give me a few like things that you can literally take away and start doing. Hopefully I just passed that message along appropriately to you. Do you have, let's just launch into it. What are your thoughts on this topic in general, and what do you have for us?
Yeah, so I think that most of us who find ourselves overeating, it's rooted in the emotional eating. Whether we know it or not, we're probably trying to solve for an emotion with food rather than solving for the emotion with what it's actually asking for to be answered with.
Mm-hmm.
And we might also be just numbing out or buffering with food to not feel the emotion. So either we're trying to solve for it using food, or we're buffering or numbing out using the food, trying not to feel the feeling.
And I like that because that's something I've really learned in the last year, 2 years since I've had my baby and I've had to deal with a raft of emotions since that's come on, is that since I've become aware of my emotional eating and really digging deep, I've started to, like, if I start wanting to eat everything, I've been stopping myself. And like, when I really think about what's actually going on below the eating, I'm finding like specific like physical reasons. Like for me, I'm in a lot of pain because I have lupus a lot of times. And it's like, a lot of times if I find myself overeating and if I slow down and stop, I'll find that I'm in actual physical pain. Mm-hmm. And then the better thing to do is to take some ibuprofen and like take a hot bath and rest.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're talking about? Like getting to the root?
Absolutely. Or even like you're angry with your husband and you find yourself like in the pantry eating cookies late at night or something. Like it could be like that. It could be trying to solve for pain. It could be eating because you're anxious. But a lot of the times my clients, when they first come to me, they don't even know that they're eating emotionally. Like they come to me wanting to lose weight usually, mm-hmm. and they know that I don't focus on that, but through our working together, we kind of put that on the back burner, and then they start to uncover that they have emotional eating, and they didn't even realize that that was there.
That's interesting because a lot of my people, when they come to me, one of their biggest complaints is emotional eating. That's what I struggle with. So it's interesting to hear that there may be people out there that don't realize that's the root cause.
Yeah, and I think also people think that emotional eating is just overeating, even though like I focus on that like in my bio. Mm-hmm. Also, emotional eating is not eating too, so restricting.
Interesting.
Which is interesting too. Like whenever you alter your intake with food, either right. restricting or overeating, not listening to your physical hunger and fullness, then that's emotional eating.
That's good because that we deal with a lot of people and help a lot of people that overeating seems to be the issue. But I actually had a gal in my challenge recently that had the opposite, where she wouldn't eat when she was under a lot of stress. And it was, so that's something we don't want to leave anyone out in the cold there either. Because It's just not as common. And we hear you, we see you, you know?
And it's whenever you're not tuning into your body's physical innate wisdom of mm-hmm. hunger and fullness. Whenever you're tuning that out and doing something else, that's kind of, the emotional component to eating, which emotional eating's not all bad either. So I want to make sure we talk about that too.
I love that you said that because do you remember the seminar that Sumner did with, oh my gosh, who was it? Where she did it, she talked about emotional eating and like how it doesn't have to, okay, well, in the EDRD Pro, it was one of the, I don't know, I got really excited about it because it's so true. It's like you Google emotional eating and then cupcakes and cookies and all this stuff come up and it just really like demonizes it further. And like emotional eating doesn't have to be bad. Like who said you can't eat a piece of pie if you're sad? Right. You know what I mean?
I think it's having the consciousness and making the conscious choice and having that awareness.
Yeah. That's what I've talked about too. I agree. Like if you can a lot of times it's like, if we want to make the decision to do it, then that's a different story. Like you're taking control of what's in your situation. Like you made the conscious decision to, you know what, I'm just going to have this pie. I'm going to sit here. I'm okay with it. I'm going to savor it and it's going to rock and I'm going to feel better. You know what I mean? So it's like, I totally agree.
Also like community thing to eat emotionally too. Like we celebrate at a wedding eating cake, even if we're not hungry.
Right.
That's emotional, as in like celebrating and excitement, or like even we're coming on to like the holidays now. There's a lot of community and celebration in the way we're eating, and it's not all just answering a physical signal.
Yeah.
That I don't think is bad. And it's also really amazing to be able to come together as a community and eat and share the same food.
Yeah. It's like gone on through history. It's like, that is just, it's so awesome. We try to get rid of the stigma of diets, right? But I think there's a big stigma around emotional eating as well. And it's like, I don't know. So let's talk about a few, again, I want to make it quick and actionable and digestible for everybody. So like, what are some of your like actionable tips for kind of bringing awareness and that people can do for themselves when it comes to their emotions?
Yeah.
Like I'm rambling a lot. I'm really sorry. I'm really excited to talk to you.
We're all so excited. So the first thing that I wrote down is infusing consciousness back into your eating. Okay. And a lot of times with newer clients, they're not aware really of the emotion that's happening. And they're not even sure what happened until like way after it happens. So in order to slow that whole process down to be able to make that conscious decision we were talking about, like deciding I want to eat the pie even though I'm sad and because I'm sad, you need to slow it way down. So in order to infuse the consciousness in, you have to do that after that and start with wherever you are when you first that you've done that. So if it's like, the next day and you realize last night that you overate because you're emotional, then you need to slow it down and write out. I say write out like a thought download of like what happened last night, and then just try to be aware and figure out like where did that come from, what emotion was it, and when did I start eating and all of that, and just infuse the awareness after the fact.
Okay, that's good. Can you just go back to the very beginning of this tip? You kind of cut out a little bit. I don't know if you had a good was it just try to be aware after the fact? Is that what it was?
Yeah, so adding awareness.
Okay.
After the fact, as soon as you have that awareness, try to infuse that conscious awareness by journaling, usually is what I recommend.
Okay.
Journaling it out, like what happened, maybe it was, the next morning you realize you ate emotionally last night or had a binge episode or whatever for you it is. Writing out like how was your day yesterday, and like even your food intake, because some clients don't realize that they actually were restricting all day long, and then at night they end up overeating because they hadn't been appropriately nourishing their body all day or whatever. Or just figuring out like, oh, I actually was mad at whoever and I didn't know I was. And then you can infuse it in after the fact, but not, and then eventually you can do it like while you're eating, you'll figure out.
Okay.
Before, and then you can make that conscious decision that we talked about.
I love that, because I think this is a really awesome thing that I didn't even think about, which is why you're on my show, is because we often do that binge and then we just, or whatever, emotional eating, whatever. And then it's like, we don't even take the time to try to look at it. We just body bash ourselves and we make ourselves feel bad and like we spiral instead of like taking control and like what you're saying, like let's write out, like, let's try to figure out what happened, because that's how you can avoid it or become more mindful in the future, right?
Yeah. And my clients are always so mad when they like messed up and like had an episode or something, but I'm super stoked because it gives us so much more to explore and to learn.
I know, I love, there's such a perspective shift, like in this field. So that's gold. Like, I love it. I might start using that myself.
Do it.
Yeah. So what else you got for me?
Okay. So number 2 that I wrote down is that you want to work on accepting discomfort and dis-ease. So in life, there is negative emotion and negative feelings. Yeah. And there are some that are really useful and some that are kind of like indulgent emotions that we don't necessarily need to feel, like confusion or overwhelm and busyness, stuff like that. we don't really need. But like there are some negative emotions and feelings that we do need and are useful. Like if someone passes away, we do want to feel grief and we do want to be sad about that.
Mm-hmm.
And in our lives, we're going to be uncomfortable and have discomfort. And I think a lot of times in our quick fix culture, kind of obsessed with happiness, we want to always feel happy and joyful. And that's just unrealistic. And if we're always trying to feel that way, we're going to start checking out whenever there's something negative to feel or discomfort to feel.
Yes. That's awesome. Again, not on my tip list. But you're right, is that we're always trying to feel better, feel better, feel better. And a lot of times you know how when you have that like super hard cry, like you cry and then blah, blah, you just like let it all out. And then after it's done, you're like, oh, like I feel better. Yeah. It's kind of like that. It's like you're just letting, it's just like a metaphor, whatever. It's like you're letting yourself feel it, experiencing it, because you can only go up from rock bottom. Mm-hmm. Would you agree? And, you know, I'm not saying every emotion you feel is rock bottom, but you know what I mean? I really like that.
Yourself feel that negative emotion all the way through.
Okay.
And not resisting it, because resisting negative emotion actually makes it way worse. And then you're adding like a layer of negative on top of that negative.
That needs to be unpacked, and then it just weighs you down. Yeah. And I think it's a good place to say that. I think this would be a good place to say that if you find that the emotions are too overwhelming to deal with on your own, talking with a therapist is a great thing, right? I mean, wouldn't you say? Like, I know that a lot of people out there have major depression and major anxiety, or maybe trauma. Absolutely. Things of that nature. So I think that along the lines, it's important that people, if it becomes too much for you, to reach out for help, you know, with people you love and professionals. I'm not saying we're all there, but, you know, sometimes those feelings can be really hard to deal with on your own.
Absolutely. And if you're just feeling them for the first time because you're trying to stop emotionally eating, like if you take that away, then you're going to feel all these feelings that you're not used to feeling. And they're going to be that much more overwhelming now because you're not numbing out with food.
Great. Awesome insight. So thank you. Cool. Yeah. What else you got? Number 3
is to be super patient and self-compassionate with yourself.
So hard.
So as you're learning new things about yourself, try to be as much of an experimenter as you can be, and just have that non-attached awareness and openness to learning about yourself without beating yourself up, because that's just going to add another layer that you're going to have to work through. Yeah. And then don't beat yourself up for being the type of person who beats yourself up. Like, it keeps going.
Yep. And that's really awesome too, is that because I don't know, it's being compassionate can be hard, but it's gotta happen. And that's a hard skill to learn. So what summarize number 3 for me again?
Be patient and self-compassionate.
Be patient, because it's gonna, I don't know, okay, I know what my point I was making. I'm like stumbling. What was I going to say? Perfection. I think this goes in line with perfection, is that like you're going to, like, newsflash, we're all going to like fail. We're all going to stumble. We're all going to do things that we don't like. And it's like, you've got to start. That's why that self-compassion part is so important, because nobody's ever going to be perfect, and you have to stop trying to be perfect. So you have to like be patient with yourself as you stumble, because I think pretty much we all stumble, right?
We're human.
Hello, I'm a human. Nice to meet you. So be patient, and that sometimes is a whole nother therapy session.
Yep. It's a lot of that.
Yeah, it really is. But this has been super, super helpful, and really thank you for coming on tonight. Those are 3 really, just to summarize, can you just list the 3 things one more time?
Yeah, so infuse the consciousness back in, just like journal after the fact, even if it already happened, so that you can start to slow down that process. and have more awareness for what's going on and what feelings you're actually feeling.
Okay.
Accept the discomfort and disease. Negative emotion can be useful and is a part of life. We're human.
Yep.
And since we're human, we need to be patient and self-compassionate.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Do you want to take a minute and just tell people about some of your services or anything? Do you have anything you want to point people to, a website or a download or something that you'd like people to, visit?
Yeah, I would love for people to find me at youareher.co. So You Are Her Co. And over there, I'm helping women, like you talked about earlier, with this stuff, overeating and emotional eating, and helping them become their future selves that they want to be and already are.
Awesome. I will put that, your information in the show notes. So anyone that watches or listens to the show, they can find out how to find the Amazeballs, Lauren Cash. I just think that you rock. So I really appreciate all that you've taught me tonight and all of my listeners. So,
thanks for having me. It was so fun.
Yay. Thanks so much. Bye. Okay, I know what my point was making. I'm like stumbling. What was I going to say? Stumble, right? Hello, I'm a human. Nice to meet you. All right, so 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to edit this out. So, hello, everybody. All right, let me just try that again. I'm stuck at intros. Okay. I love that you said that because do you remember the, like I'm rambling a lot. I'm really sorry.